Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Printing's Alive, where we talk everything print. Today, we have another special guest. As you know, all my guests are special. Today, we have Tim Andrews of ASI. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Warren. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure to have someone on who's doing something really cool that could be an asset for people in the print industry. So let's start off by, how about you just give us a little bit of an introduction as to who you are and what you do, and just really shortly what ASI is.
Yeah, I'm Tim Andrews. I'm President and CEO of ASI, and ASI is really the player that provides technology, education, trade shows, events in the promotional product space. So anything you can put a logo on is either in one of our databases or it's at our trade shows, and we really serve the distributors that are reselling those promotional products and the suppliers that are either manufacturing those products or they're importing those products and then they're decorating them on demand with the logo of the client or the distributor. So that's what we do.
Cool. Also, I'll just let everyone know, if you didn't know, but you should know, that I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago, because I don't remember that much, you guys did a little partnership with Printing United Alliance.
We did. We bought their print and promo brands, which is a magazine that many people here probably are familiar with, and also their website, and also some trade shows that they had, some small events that are one-on-one events that are hosted by suppliers, and they bring in qualified distributors. So in addition to that acquisition of some assets there, we also did a long-term co-marketing agreement to help people that are in print understand promo and people that are in promo to understand print. So I think it's a great alliance. It's the Printing United Alliance is awesome. And we were meeting over a lunch and we started talking about what we think the future looks like. And we had an incredibly aligned viewpoint that these spaces have been coming together over time, and that's accelerating. And we wanted to help that acceleration and the success of the people that are in print to come into promo and promo to come into print.
Cool. So for people listening, that's part of the reason why I wanted Tim on here, so that let everybody know that we have an association with the promo industry. But I wanted Tim on here to talk about ASI. And I'll tell you first a little story about me in promo and how I got involved in promo back when I had my company. And I never really thought of promo before. When we needed our own stuff branded, I went to someone. If we had a customer that requested something, I would refer someone to them, because I was always thinking, it's what a pain in the ass. It's all small, it's all little, and blah, blah, blah. And then one day, nothing to do with selling a customer, but I saw this Toomey briefcase in the store, and it was like $1,200. And there was no way that I was going to spend $1,200 on a briefcase, but I really wanted the briefcase. So this is where I came up with this idea. I'm going to join ASI. I'll be a member. I think at the time the membership was $600, $700, $800 for the year. And I would call up Toomey as a promotional provider and see if I can't get a briefcase. And I called Toomey, and Toomey offered me the briefcase at half price, which is wholesale, so that I could show it to a customer and see if they liked the sample, which was me. So I got a Toomey briefcase for $600 instead of $1,200. And I'm like, wow. So I saved $600, which covered most of the membership, which left $200 over to cover. And just by buying our own promo stuff direct, not only did I save that $200, but I ended up saving a lot of money. And then once we had that, I'm like, oh my God, we should just offer it up to a couple customers. And we didn't want to get too heavy, because I mean, the catalog could be this thick and there's a million things. And in print salespeople, don't really want to sell promo, or didn't really want to sell promo. Why? Because it's smaller items, and then they're looking at their print and bigger invoices and whatnot. But the truth is, for what I saw was the promo became another extension, another item, and another product that we could sell to an already existing clientele. And we went out and we just created, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 basic items that people can use, different pens, different cups, could be a USB key, etc. And we used that in our promo. And I kid you not, And I mean, you're not going to be surprised by this, but all of a sudden, customer comes in and wants to buy 100 cups for their staff and to give away 100 cups at $7 a cup was a $700 order. Cost 350 in the pocket, paid the salesman commission. And we just went from that. What I ended up doing after that was I hired a person who was in promo to come into the building. And we now had a promo expert who understood the systems and all of that, and who my salespeople could refer their customers to. And we would, take care of the salespeople and have this person who understood it on. So I personally, I think everyone should be selling promo, and you don't even have to go into it in a big way, just a small way. And then all of a sudden, even when I did the Print Whisper and I went out and did sweatshirts, just being a member, it's huge savings. It's not an expensive thing. So I don't know if how other people get into promo, but selfishly, if you're the owner and you like electronics and you like certain things, sign up just to be a member so you could buy stuff for your house at a discount. And then you can make your money in the office. I wouldn't suggest that to everybody, but
there's a lot to unpack there, Warren. There's a lot to unpack there.
Go ahead.
I would say, your story is not unusual in the sense that many people in promo were in a different space, right? I've been in the industry and at ASI for 22 years, and some of my very first conversation with people that were at more business forums, and they were moving from more business forums, or you fill in the blank of those big players that we all know the names of if you've been in print a long time, and they were looking for how can we offset what we fear to be a decline in revenue from print, or what in fact is a decline in revenue from print. And many of those folks were looking at what is my current customer buying? What can I do with the information I know about them? And the great thing about print is you often have the logo and understand how to handle artwork for a client. And for what we've seen as other people have tried to come into the space and they try to join ASI as a distributor, one of the key benefits and one of the success factors that we see is, do you understand how to manage artwork? Because if you don't know how to manage artwork and understand the process of putting words or ink on a fabric or a paper or whatever substrate you want to say, it's much harder to understand because the concept, it can be lost on people. So we've got 20,000 distributor members, and every story is different. Many of them are somewhat similar to yours. They hear about promo, and frankly, your first part of your conversation is a great way for people in print to get involved in promo, is to find a trusted partner in the neighborhood who you want to have a business relationship with and learn from and join up with. So what you described is pretty common. What we see today, and this is sort of in comparison to say 20 years ago when most people were in promo, and a few percentage points of people were in different industries like printing, as an example. What we see now is the membership really in across the board looks like a diverse group of people who are in adjacent markets like print, who have added promo to their business, or they're in promo and they've added print. But quite honestly, it's more print adding promo at this point. And we think around 15 or 20% of our current 20,000 distributor firms are in the print space in some sort of significant way. They identify as a print oriented person or business. And so we think, of course, I agree with you. I think it's a great way for someone in print and these other adjacent markets like signs, for instance, to come into an additional business for themselves to add revenue, but most importantly, to allow them to serve their clients better. So when a client comes in and they need somebody's help, how can I help them across the board? And I think this is a great opportunity. So I'm glad we're spending time, talking about it.
Yeah, I was just going to hold up my pens. Every pen in there has a company's name on it that I've picked up at a trade show, except for the highlighters. Those are highlighters, highlighters. But
there's highlighters in our industry too. I've got friends I can introduce you to.
Oh, I'm sure. So, and the other thing I just want to point out to everybody that's going to sell promo, from my own perspective, if it isn't quality, don't buy it. Because when you're buying promo personally and you're buying shitty products that are cheap and weak, when you give them out, it's an extension of who you are. So make sure. And the good stuff always stays with people. I mean, I don't have all my Yeti tumblers here, although I do got my other Yeti. But it really does stay, right?
Well, I think that's a really good point. I think that what we've seen in the last little while, is topics like sustainability and high quality, and whether that's a branded piece like your Toomey bag, or whether it's simply a high quality unbranded, other than the brand of the company that's trying to market itself by using promo. High quality is really paying off, and that's not a trend anymore. It's not just sort of a flash in the pan. People want sustainable product. They want to make sure that the product is really high quality. That when they give it out with their brand on it, it's going to be something people look at and, wow, I really love this. I'm going to keep this, and that's really important. The smaller products, are still important in the space overall, but for sure, there's been a shift to a higher quality product, even lower price products, but a higher quality even in the lower price points.
Right. You need a pen that leaves some good ink on the paper and rollerballs smoothly across and doesn't bleed all over your hands when you rub your hand over it.
Well, you don't want a pen that's going to not have ink after 5 minutes of
That
writing.
too.
No,
Right.
so
That
it's got to
too.
be a
That
good
too.
quality product. Which, by the way, is the reason that a distributor needs to really get educated. So I think that's an important part. We got people here listening, obviously today. I think understanding the products and what makes them work and who the good suppliers are and et cetera is a really important part of learning about becoming an ASI distributor.
I think that's great. And I mean, if you're a printer out there, if you're going to get into it, you don't have to be overwhelmed by it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I said, 10 products that are across the board that are good. You could even make some samples, make your own samples on them.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, make a bunch of the products that you want to sell and take them and give them to your customers. Leave them on the desk, leave them everywhere around. Give one to the receptionist, give one to whoever, anyone at your customer. It's really good. So when since you've merged associations with Printing United, um, how has the membership been in terms of printers signing up for more? And in signing up for more, has it been good? Has it been a good sign up with a good transition into what they're doing, or did some people just drop off and not use it? And I'm asking those questions because if they dropped off, I'm interested to know why,
Yeah.
maybe to fix it up or offer up some suggestions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's, and just to clarify, we didn't merge with the association. Just to clarify, we've had people ask us that. We purchased some assets, but we've got a
Right.
co-marketing agreement with Printing United Alliance. I think that we're doing a lot of education together. We're not looking to do a flash in the pan and get hundreds and hundreds of new members, joining. What we're trying to do is educate people in the print space about this opportunity, and then encourage them to come to a trade show, experience walking the show floor. We've got a show in July in Chicago, for instance. People could certainly come, and we're sort of taking this sort of a step at a time. The sort of the crawl, walk, run. It will not benefit anyone if we have a bunch of people that get disappointed and burned out. So we're really taking a careful approach, making sure that people that reach out to us really go through a process of learning and understanding, and really have a good sense of this. So we've got probably 150 or something new members as a result of this in the last few months, but we feel good about that. We think that's the right pace at the right time.
And would you know of the 150 or so, how many are satisfied or not?
Yeah, what I find is that ASI membership is a monthly relationship, and if people get unsatisfied, they drop pretty fast. We've had a really good stick rate. So I think people that are coming in, especially in these early days, are people that maybe were already playing in the space. They knew a little bit about the space. They're probably more knowledgeable about it, and so I feel really good about where we are in that. I think when we look at cancellations or people that decide they don't want to be an ASI member anymore, it very typically is they just didn't sell enough, right? I didn't sell enough to my customers. I couldn't find prospects. We certainly can help them do all those things with the services we offer, and we have a learning platform so they can really learn in depth at their own time with sort of bite-sized classes they can take. All of that's really important. If someone decides they see an email marketing piece from us, or they hear this and they say, and they think money's going to fall from the trees, that really isn't what's going to happen, right? It's going to be a slow growth activity as you start explaining that you offer promo now to your clients, you look for prospects, and you do the kind of marketing you're talking about, that sort of the guerrilla marketing of giving out products just to remind people, hey, I do promo now too. And also just training yourself, frankly, to make sure that you're representing this vast array of what you're offering. And I like your idea about narrowing the scope of what you're doing. You can't. There are 1.2 million products in our ESP Plus database from about 3,000 suppliers. that probably isn't the right thing for a print shop to start offering. They need to figure out what are the 20, and we can help, by the way. We've got lots of case studies talking about what are the top products, how do you identify those, and identifying, okay, what are the categories in each of those categories, who should I be working with from a supplier perspective, and what products should I have to give away as a lead generation for my own business. And a lot of the suppliers we work with will do spec samples with your client or your prospective client's brand and logo on there. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind as well.
That's where I would tell the print companies to ask for samples printed with their own names on it,
Mm-hmm.
and that they could show to the customers. So a couple things. If you've been dealing with printers for a little while, you've learned that they're a little stubborn. You've learned that they're not so easy to engage with all the time. And not because they're bad or anything, but a lot of the print companies are limited with the staff that they have and the resources. And the idea of taking on something perhaps like promo is so overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I would suggest to you that you set up like a little print promo package for those guys, girls, to make it easy, right? And then they come in and they just start. To the print company who's listening, before you start worrying about how you're going to market it, you're really marketing it first to all of your own customer base,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're making maybe a little brochure or a little whatever printed piece that lets people know you're doing it, and you've now given your salespeople a reason to go knock on every door just to say hello, not to ask to quote anything, because when you ask to quote something, people get a little annoyed. But go in just to say, hey, wanted to bring you our latest offering. And you could bring them a little box with the pen, with the pad, with the cup, with the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And people aren't going to throw that out. And you leave it on their desk and they'll leave it there. And then when they need something, they will hopefully call you. But at the same time, to the printer, you put little cards in every invoice you send out in every envelope.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sending out invoices, if everyone's paying online, well, on their receipt that goes back, put a little promo for the promo, right? It's not that hard, and you don't have to go that deep to get into it. I didn't think it was a hard sell.
I think those are great ideas. I think that educating yourself about how to do that, and I think also with clients, just simply asking open-ended questions and saying, "I'm happy to have done this work for you right now, or the work that I have on an ongoing basis with you. How do you use promo in your business? Have you incorporated in the way you're marketing yourselves? Who are you trying to reach when you're trying to reach out to promo? The demographics really important. Are you trying to reach men, women? You're trying to reach boys? You're trying to reach girls? And is it you're trying to reach them in the winter when it may be cold and maybe they need a certain kind of apparel? You're trying to reach them in the summer when maybe they need a little lighter apparel. So I think that questioning of people is really important and learning, perhaps more than in the print space, where in the print space we're printing these certain kinds of things in the role as a source and a source of ideas. In the promo space, you've got to really dig in and say what kind of business problem you're trying to solve, what's your marketing problem you're trying to solve, and who's the demographic, who you're going after. And all of that's really important to then define what kind of products they should be supplying in that marketing campaign.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter what you're selling as a salesperson. You should always be asking important questions about the people's businesses.
Yes.
And then you should bite your tongue for 4 seconds until they start to respond. My tongue has holes in it from learning to bite my tongue because I always have something to say, right? But what do they teach you? Shut up and let the other person talk. And then it comes back and it goes that way, right? What are some of the myths and the barriers, or the barriers and the myths, that you think people think about when they hear promo?
Yeah, I think there's a few things, especially in the print side. So I think for some of the print folks that we've talked to that have joined and others that are still pursuing this, I think getting past the idea that they have to manufacture the product. I think there may be a myth or a concern that, gosh, I don't want to add equipment to put logos on writing instruments. Okay, so I think one myth is I have to warehouse it, or I have to buy it in advance, or I have to actually do the decoration myself. None of that is true. Certainly on the apparel side, you can have capability to do printing on apparel in-house, and that may make some sense for some people that really understand that business, which the printer people often do. Not always, because they may be outsourcing some of the print they're doing. But so I think that's one myth bust, which is like, suppliers warehouse the product, they have it there, you order from them, you give them the artwork, they send you back a proof, you approve the proof after your clients looked at the proof, hopefully, and approved it, and then they produce it for you, and they either ship it to your shop if you got a shop, or they can drop ship it blind to your client. So I think that is one really important thing. Number two, I would say, is the margins are low. What would you say the average margin is for a printer?
Well, margin low because, well, the good ones it's high, but I will tell you that the profit leaders in the industry, run at about 8-9% net profit at the end of the year.
Yep.
And most of the others are in the 2% to 3%, yep, which is very low.
So promo can have a 36 to 40% gross margin, which is a nice healthy number because, again, you've got no money wrapped up in warehousing the product, owning the product. You're buying on demand. And so, you referenced a 50% discount, et cetera, or 100% markup is what they're trying, right? So that's the margin we're talking about. So it's not, some people think, oh, it's low margin. I don't want to be in this. It's low margin. It's not low margin. And you've got no capital tied up in it. You don't have to have a warehouse. So that investment is quite low. Three, I think another myth is my customers already are buying promo and they don't need my help. Well, everyone wants to have a client that trusts them, and everyone who's a client wants to have a vendor, a relationship with a partner someone who knows them and understands them and gets their vibe, right? And so I think that myth that I can't really sell this because they're not going to buy it from me is another myth that I would bust. I think that is truly not true.
That's just a weak salesperson.
Well, they exist out there, Warren.
Oh no, for sure. But a good salesperson will bring whatever to the customer, mm-hmm, and talk it through and find out. I mean, one area where promo is great, if you're a print company, a lot of your customers probably go to do trade shows or exhibit somewhere. And the beautiful thing, if you can do promo, is you save them from having one more stop to go to, right? You know what you're doing with the artwork, you're managing it, and you're saving them time. And that's part of your pitch. Mm-hmm. Right? Do you want to go out to 3 people? And the promo will probably be the smallest dollar amount item that they buy when they're doing a show, between everything they spend to go in the people and the setup and mm-hmm, and all of that. So I think that's really easy. Yeah, the no inventory, everyone should know, no inventory, it's really easy. One thing that I really liked when I joined and I went on the site was, aside from spending hours looking for my own shit, when I found stuff for a customer, I can go on there, and when I'm quoting them, I was doing it, sending the sample, sending it directly from your site.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, right.
And then I would BCC me the email, so I didn't have to go check after and see where it was. And it just made it seamless, and it made it quick, where, a bunch of years ago wasn't so quick.
I think that's a great point. Maybe one of the myths I should have busted is that it's hard to do. We've actually solved a lot of the problems. Not all of them. We're still working on the problems in this industry, of course. But ESP Plus, our platform, allows you to search for products by category, by keyword, all sorts of things. Create an incredibly professional presentation with your own branding as a printer on the presentation, and the branding of the prospective customer. The customer, you send it out. You can go back and forth on our platform, them saying, I like this, I don't like this, I love this, whatever. I want to order 100 of these. But that's all that back and forth is on our platform and is very visible and stored forever under that client or prospective client's name. So you can always go back and look at them. And then you can recreate, once you've settled on what they want, you create the PO with really like a couple of clicks. And it creates the PO, sends the PO out to the supplier and sends it off. And then you can set up things like reminders saying, okay, I want to be reminded in 6 months to call this client back and say, hey, do you want to reorder those hats? Are you out of hats yet? So there's a lot of that. And in our industry, a really important part of this is, in our industry, a very big percentage of the orders, something in the 30-35% range, are reorders of something that they've already purchased. And so that is a real blessing and something that printers really understand, because so much
Oh,
of
high
what you
profit.
all do, right? It's high profit. Somebody calls you up and says, hey, those mugs I bought, I need to order 50 more. You literally go into our platform, you pull it up on the client name, find the order that you had, which is very simple to find. You hit a button that just recasts that PO fresh, for the 50. So it really is a great easier than it was 10 or 15 years ago when your people were pouring through DVDs and CDs and God knows what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, you could set up catalogs for certain customers where they
Mm-hmm.
go on, right? And then
Yeah. Oh yeah.
everyone in that
Absolutely.
company could buy directly from it and it goes right through.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. Listen, I remember one customer wanted to buy 150 umbrellas from us,
Mm-hmm.
like printed umbrellas. And I'm like, whoa. And that was 100. I mean, that could have been a $20 item because they were
Right.
better umbrellas. And all of a sudden you got a $3,000-4,000 item. You're making 2,000 and it adds up quickly.
Yeah.
It's
It certainly
really,
does.
it's it. I would recommend to everybody. It's worth the try. You can call me if you want to know a little bit more about it. So let me ask you: a print company comes on and they want to join. They go onto the website, they fill in their details,
Yeah.
and then tell me what happens after.
Yeah, pretty quickly. We'll reach out to them. We'll ask them some additional questions. We screen to make sure that they're buying on behalf of clients and not on behalf of themselves. So you slip through our process here.
Oh, I did it through a company name, but I did
Okay.
it through a real company.
Okay. So we sort of do a screen there to make sure we enroll them in some courses. We connect them with someone who's going to support them for the first 2 years. We give you a success manager that's really be there for you. So when you've got questions about how do I fill out my first purchase order, I've got to be walked through how to create my first presentation. I want to set up a company store, which we offer for one of my clients that wants to have a curated list of 10 products that their employees can buy or that their customers can come in and buy because maybe it's a fundraiser for a local school system or something. So we'll help you with all that hands-on, getting all that up and running. And of course, we also build and host websites for distributors. I mentioned we got 20,000 distributor firms. Something around 15,000 of those firms have websites we've built and host for them. So you can have a website that a customer, client, prospect can come on. They either find you through a Google search or they can find you because they've got your URL on a business card that was in some sort of an offering that you had. They go on your website and they can do the shopping, fill out a shopping cart, hit a button, and you can have it go to you as a lead. You can have it go to you as an order, or you can actually take the credit card, on the website. So all of that we help people walk through because we know that the first few times of this, it's complicated. You mentioned people are busy. They're already running their business, and this is one of these things like, okay, now how do I do this? And what, it's outside my usual role here. And so we really try to provide lots of hand holding for the first year or so to really make sure that people get across the first 3 or 4 big things. And then they get an order like your umbrella order for $2,000 or $3,000 and they go, okay, well, this is real deal now. This isn't $20 worth of ink pens, right? This is a real deal. And so I think then they get excited, making money makes people excited. At least people I know, it makes them excited. I don't know about you, Warren, but that gets people going.
Oh, for sure. Listen, these Yetis, I don't have to tell you in the store, a Yeti in the
Yep.
store for 1.5 liter water bottle. This is a $70 water bottle.
Yeah.
Uh,
Big deal.
Christmas, Christmas, I had 2 companies send me Yeti tumblers,
Mm-hmm.
of which I always do a little ad for them because I just love my tumbler and I love when I take it fishing and it keeps my tea warm,
Yep.
right? But a quality product, you don't put it down, so
It's
you can't go
great.
wrong.
And for those customers who say, you know what, Yeti's a little out of my $70, a little out of my world. The good news is in our industry, there's lots of suppliers that have Yeti-like product that is incredibly high value for $20 or $25. So you can give your client an option. You can say, I understand you want the Yeti at $75. Do you want the Yeti or do you want the $20 or $25 product that is incredibly equivalent to that product? So lots of price points in our industry as well, which is really helpful. I think when you're talking to a client that may have a significantly smaller, they got bigger eyes and they got budget. You can talk about the big price stuff, but then you can come down to a price point because in our world, that umbrella you mentioned, there's a $100 umbrella probably, and there's a $5 umbrella, and so the client really can have a lot of selection across not only numbers of suppliers, number of products, categories, but also price points, which is really important.
Yeah, no, all kinds of opportunity. So now I'll just say, so when I joined, there was one thing that I didn't like.
Uh-oh, it wasn't me, was it?
No, I didn't know you then, or I would have called you myself to give you some grief. No, and I say this because it bugs me in with a lot of things. So when I went and joined up, and it was easy, and I got on, all of a sudden you guys started trying to sell me all these other services,
Mm-hmm.
and not that the services aren't good. The services actually are pretty good, but I just want you guys to remember when you're going to deal with the print owners, and because they're limited on resources, they're limited financial resources, human resources, and whatever other resources, the last thing they want is anything pushed on them.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to, if you're going to do that, do it in a way that like you're asking them every so often when they're ready to know more, or letting them know and then let them ask you, because all the different and then it just gets confusing, and then it gets frustrating, and then the easiest thing is to cancel. So if I could tell your rep something,
Mm-hmm. I think really
so
good point.
easy.
Really good points. I would say one thing that we changed about, I don't know when you joined, but about 2 years ago,
It's years ago,
okay. So
long
about
time.
2 years ago, we changed our approach. We used to sell membership of ASI separately, but at the end of the day, we were sort of like, you know what? It's wonderful, and it provides value because it really differentiates someone in the marketplace. It gives you an immediate credential to work with suppliers. But we now merge that basic membership with a licensed ESP, and so that cuts down on the pestering of trying to sell you more things. So I think that we have a lot more packages.
Okay, good.
We really encourage people to buy a package that's going to help them be successful. So it's membership plus an ESP or two ESP licenses, depending on what you've got, number of people you have in your organization, and then maybe some print catalogs. So you've got, so maybe 20 or 30 print catalogs come to you 2 or 3 times a year. And of course, you also have access to our educational platform, and you can also go to all of our trade shows. So we wrap that all into a package so that one, we don't have to bug people, or we don't bug people, whether, and also so they can be more successful, because we know that if they just join and that's it, they're not going to be successful. If they just join and they have ESP, they may be successful, but not as much as if they go to a show. We've got 3 shows: Orlando, Chicago, which is in July, and in Fort Worth, Texas. If we get you to come to a show, you're going to be more successful, because you're going to walk the show floor. You're going to understand the product. You're going to understand how the business works. You're going to sit through 3 or 4 educational classes about social media, sourcing product, how to create a great presentation, how to use AI in your business, all these different topics we have. And you're going to come back to your shop refreshed, excited, and ready to go.
So I don't want to disappoint you, but we have a hard time getting printers to come to the print shows.
I know. Well,
And sorry, and I am a giant advocate of, if you are a printer, if you're a print owner, if you work within a printing company, ask your owner to send you to a show. If you're an owner, come to the show. It doesn't mean you're buying something. It's not about buying. I never buy at a show, if I could be really honest with you, because I'm not bringing my financial guy with me, and I'm not a math guy, and I'm not doing all the financing. But I go to a show for a couple reasons. I go to a show to be counted. The more people that go to shows, the higher the count, the more excitement there is within the industry. And then you don't have everyone going, oh, there's nobody here, there's nobody here. I go to the shows to network. I go to the shows to meet people and to pick up ideas. If I could leave a show with one idea, because tube is too complicated to go back and remember and to do something. If I could leave with one idea and take it back to the shop, that's what's amazing, and then I'm there to meet and see old friends and do it all. So everyone should be going to the shows, because it's like, I have friends who, maybe China's not a good example right now, but I used to have friends that went to the shows in China, which were huge, and they would go there for ideas and thoughts. If you're staying in your office, you can't learn, you can't grow, you can't see, and you won't know what's out there.
Yep.
And you won't get ideas.
I think
Because
great
the shows, right? The shows give you other ideas, right? Bring a customer to a show. You're just walking. You want them to see to what goes on there. So yeah, so good luck with getting printers to the show, unless we have some incentive.
Well, I've got a couple of pieces of magic there. Okay, so first of all, when we look at the map and we look at Chicago, we look at the Dallas, Fort Worth area, and Orlando, there are a lot of there are a lot of printers who are prospective clients to be selling promotional products. And so we do 3-day shows. Often one of the days is on the weekend. And so we have an education day typically, and we have 2 show days that are open that people can walk the show floor. And so we really encourage people, you don't need to come the whole 3 days. And if you're in a driving range of any of those 3 spots, in our case, You can drive in, spend the day, park, spend the day. We have a lot of incentives. So ASI members, if they want to stay over a night, if they come to both days of the show and get scanned, they get a free night in a hotel room in our block,
Oh, cool.
which is awesome. So you can come in. We also do all sorts of other things, free parking passes. We do free tickets to the gala if you register early, for the show. So there's lots of incentives that allow an ASI member to come and really make out pretty well. So you can get a couple of meals on us. You can get, or really it's on the suppliers who are paying us, but a couple of meals, you can get free parking, you can get a free room if you want to stay overnight. So there's a lot of opportunity there to do it. And of course, the other piece that's really impactful is the relationship. I think we're going to talk about this in a few minutes with Printing United at their trade show, which will be in 2026. And that will allow you to see promo suppliers plus all the print people. So that's a good 2-for-1 activity, which I think is going to be very exciting for people that, you're right, can't be out of their shop or their offices, 3 or 4 times a year for a 2 or 3 day show. That just doesn't work for what their business is.
Yeah, and if anybody listening, like if COVID taught us anything, that thing that happened years ago, you don't have to be in your office. You can get away from your office. People will not miss you for a day or two, and everything will get done. And if you're a print owner, you know what I'm talking about when I say when you're not there, more stuff gets done without you because they're not waiting to line up outside your door to ask you a dumb question. And all of a sudden you come back and they're lining up with all the questions again, which is a pretty amazing, miraculous thing when that happens, right?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, a lot gets done. When I'm not here, if I'm out on the road, I'm guaranteeing that people are doing great work. So it's sometimes.
And you know why? They want you to know that you can count on them because they prefer when you're not in the office. And that's how they keep you away, by doing right.
I think that works. And I think for all of us, not only we learn we can operate businesses and keep our finger on the pulse of our businesses, but we can also learn a lot. So even if you can't come to one of our shows to spend the day in education, we've got dozens of courses online, and you can watch all those courses as an ASI member at no cost and really learn about the industry. And they're 20, 30 minutes. Most of them are sort of bite-sized things. So during a lunch break or whenever, you can sort of get up to speed on what's going on in the industry. So that's really helpful as well for people that can't.
And are the videos, do you have a video section geared towards the printer?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. ASICentral.com/education. And we're actually, this is top secret because we haven't launched it yet, but in Chicago in about a month, we're going to be launching an entirely new education learning platform. But we've got some courses tailored specifically for the printer looking to come into promo.
Okay. And I'm just laughing to myself because I'm just thinking, how am I going to get this out? So what kind of offer do you have for the printer to join up for a month or two for free to get his foot wet or her foot wet or feet, because his feet's plural, right? And I don't know if you have something. I'm just putting you on the spot because I can.
We got a couple of offers. The best thing to do is this. Email me, tandrews, TANDREWS @ASICentral.com, and I will have our best and brightest talk to you about how you can get in the industry.
Cool. Maybe you can give me some type of code to put on when I put the podcast up in the description, that they can click on it and go somewhere.
We'll do that. We will definitely
just do maybe the Print Whisper at ASI or something. Just
a special landing page just for you. A special landing page just for you, Warren.
Oh my God, that would be so nice. Anything just for me is good. I don't get a lot of that, but it's all good. And so I remember reading not long ago, they were talking about like quad graphics and something like $26 billion or something. Or no, $26 billion is what the industry is.
Yes, yes.
Quad graphics is that multi-billion-dollar printer who is gone into promo.
Yeah.
Am I correct with that?
Yeah, that's what they've announced. That's what they've announced. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about it, because folks, this is I'm going to say the last name wrong. It's the Quadrucci family that owns Quad, and they're smart people. So we should be looking to them as to why they made that move.
And what I know is what they said when they announced this big move into promo is that their clients who are buying print from them are also buying promo, and people are looking for one-stop shops. And they see this as a great opportunity, I think, to be able to do all the things we're talking about. Not have to have inventory of a product, not having to manage that whole manufacturing process. They do a lot, I think, at Quad that is digital now in terms of not only the printing, of course, but also digital services that surround and marketing services that surround their clients. And I think they see this as another very integral piece of the puzzle that allows a client to have one partner to be able to help them with all their marketing needs, whether it's social media, whether it's print, whether it's promo. They want to be the one-stop shop. And I think that on that scale, that is pretty grand. But I think there's a lot of smaller scales that, that many of your listeners are incredibly adept at managing. And the kind of clients that they have are the same kind of clients, only maybe a little smaller, and but equally productive, profitable, and good opportunities for the printer to get in the space.
And the bottom line is you're there to help the customer save their time and money and make it easy. I mean, I remember when I had my print shop, we got into large format, we got into mailing, we got into packaging, we got into printing, we were doing the promo. We did all the FSC, FESC, all the sort of all the sustainability certifications. Why? It's all good for marketing when you do all that and it lets people know what you're doing. But more importantly, it was the sales pitch about come to us. We could manage your brand. We could manage it across all platforms. It's not easy, so we'll start with the hardest item first and then go. Or, you know what? You can go to 4 different suppliers and I hope your logo matches.
Well, I think you're experts. Printers are experts in that brand management piece, which is really important. I visited with a printer who is now in promo, and he's got a couple of huge restaurant chains. And what he had been doing for these restaurant chains to begin with was printing their employee handbook, which at the time was in print form, right? And every time a new employee came in, they would send him through email the name of the new employee. And this is restaurants. So there's a lot of churn, a lot of turnover, in the staff. And he went to him, was like, gosh, why don't we do some branded apparel for these employees? And long story short, it went from being a cost to that restaurant chain. There were 2 restaurant chains. Rather than a cost of mailing this out, they actually had the new employees. They would go on a website. They put in their name, etc. They then pay for their 2 or 3 shirts they get. And because of the way they structured the pricing, the box has the free shirts in it. The box has also got the employee handbook in it. It ships. And by the way, the restaurant now pays 0, and the new employee pays for the shipping and all this. And so it went from so that person was incredibly smart with their client. They went to their client and said, let's shift the whole thing around here. Let's change that whole model. So I think that kind of thinking about how do I add promo in a very integrated way with what I'm already doing with clients. And by the way, how do I make it a win to them? That was a huge win. That company went from spending $20 for every new employee for the printing and the mailing to spending 0. And that is a huge win, especially when 25% of the people don't show up after the first day or something, right?
Right. Well, the other thing is, as an owner, what I thought was really cool, when you go out and you buy everybody the branded shirts or the t-shirts or the uniforms, it's just really nice in the plant for the team because everyone is, number one, everyone feels like they're on the team. Number 2, when you're giving them shirts and uniforms, they're not dirtying and ruining their own clothes, right? It's that. Yep. And what's really special is when you have people come in and visit the place or you're doing a tour or press approval, you look like a team.
Yep.
And everybody's on the same page, which is, I don't even know if you could measure that in any terms of, getting something back from it. But I know when I go into places and I feel like it's a team, I'm like, okay, I'm in the right place.
And quality
everyone is.
And it's a really good reminder that some of these, some of the price points are really, very affordable. That's the other great thing about promotional products, because we get a great return on investment when someone includes promotional products in marketing. We have lots of stats, by the way. ASICentral.com/research has lots of information about how you can show your customers and your prospects the return on investment they should get from each of the categories. We've got every category in return on investment. But think about this. I mean, how many of us have dozens of things around our house we've had 5, 10, 15, 20 years that are still promoting those businesses and are really valuable. So I think that price point in terms of the price per impression, the cost per impression, promo is a great return on investment, which is another pitch, to customers and clients.
So I'm going to go back to you're saying the longevity of some of the items. I'm going to go back to being quality, because when it's quality, you don't throw it out. You keep the cotton t-shirt, you keep the hoodie, right? I mean, the other thing is when I'm doing promo, and I was putting my logo on it, I made sure not to make my logo too big and gaudy, right? So that people
Right.
would wear it regularly. When you're right across your whole chest,
Yep.
it doesn't get worn as much, right?
Yeah, that is a great point. I think I have been preaching this a lot in the last couple of years because I started seeing this proliferation of these huge big brands, in some of these spaces. And you see this in some of the fashion brands, they'll plaster their brands. I think that something much more discreet is much classier. I refer to it as I don't want it to look horsey, right? And so that logo should not look like a horse on your chest, right? It should be more like a very subtle thing on the side, done really well. And I think that's really important because you want people to keep the product and use the product.
Well, and if you're going to put a big logo, then I want you to pay me, right? Even on my car, I took the dealership sticker off
Yeah,
the back. A, I don't need it on there. But B, I paid for the car. Why am I advertising you? If you want, give me a free oil change and I'll put the sticker on,
right. I think it's a good
right? Just
point.
everything has to work for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's really the best thing. Um, any big trends that you see that we should know about?
I think a couple of things. One, and you mentioned sustainability a little earlier. I think that sustainability has burst out. It's no longer a trend, it's a requirement. So I think that sustainability piece is huge in our space and getting bigger. I think it is then engendering a couple of other things. And one is transparency. The industry has been very secretive over the years. Over time, that secrecy has gone away. I think the internet sort of blew up some of that secrecy. There's still a lot of mystery about this industry, quite honestly. There's still the very important ASI number that protects the identity of suppliers and distributors. There's lots of pieces of this, but I think that transparency is something that is starting in Europe. It is coming here, and it's started to already be here. And that transparency is around where was this product sourced? Where was this fabric? Where was this cotton grown? Where was it actually woven? Who and where was the screen printing done? All of that detail is starting to be embedded in some products. And I think that is going to be a huge, if we're sitting here in 5 years talking about this, I think you're going to see lots of different kinds of identification of that life cycle of the creation of a product. And it's starting to happen in Europe. We're starting to see it here a little bit, and you're going to see more of that because people really do care and do want to know. And a lot of those they're now incorporating QR codes. You scan the QR code and it pops up and tells you all that information. And this was started really because of import restrictions and issues in terms of social responsibility of growing cotton in certain places, mostly in China. And so all of that is sort of blown up to be this big transparency issue. So I think sustainability was a trend. It's now longer a trend. It's a known
It's life.
requirement. It's life, right? And that I think the other piece is how do we reclaim product? And so there's a lot of effort in our space among some fairly big players that say, once the promotional product has come into life, how do we make sure that it is recycled properly, and do we have the right kind of labeling on the product so that people know what to do with it, or do we have processes to reincorporate that into the stream of supply chain? So I think those are two big things going on. That transparency thing, though, you're going to hear a lot more about that in the next 3 to 5 years.
Listen, I think with the internet, I think with AI out there are no more secrets anymore, right? I laugh with people that say, oh, I don't want to give you my phone number or my email, but they haven't turned off Google history, which is following them everywhere they go,
Yeah.
right? So it's there are no secrets. Oh, one important thing that I forgot that just came to me with all the tariffs going on today,
Mm-hmm.
right? I guess we don't even know where the tariffs are anymore because we need your guy to make a final decision. But how's the industry dealing with it?
Well, two things. One, he's not my guy, nor he's not my guy. So I'm not going to
Well,
claim.
I mean the head of the
I
country.
understand. I understand what you're saying. I could say that maybe we're the 11th, and so I think you would get what I mean about that. Um, I think that sort of in the first part of the year, it was an incredibly uncertain time. You wake up and there's 155 or 145% or whatever kind of tariff you want to say. There's reciprocal tariffs. Our industry in the first Trump administration looked at what happened with China tariffs and said, we need to change some things. And they moved a lot of manufacturing and sourcing out of China to places like Vietnam and Cambodia and around the world. And so that was moved. And the reason that they did that was because they thought China would be the only country ever in the crosshairs of this, because that was the first country that was tariffed at a steeper rate than we had previously had. In this next round, of course, many of the countries that people had moved manufacturing and sourcing to are on the list of the reciprocal tariffs. And so it's a pretty complicated time. I think that where we are today is things seem more certain. There seems to be less discussion about it. There are presumably negotiations going on, across dozens of countries to figure out what these tariffs really are going to look like. And we're getting close because the sort of pause on them is coming up here in the next few weeks and comes off presumably. So there'll be another big nudge of news, in the next couple 3 weeks about those tariffs. But I think certainty is what business people want. We want to know, what are they going to be? Give me time to figure it out, and I'll figure it out. The real problem in this whole first half of the year was it's up, it's down, we don't know, and it's really hard to manage. But I think it's settling down. I think people are understanding that there's going to be some significant tariff on China that's higher than it was before. I think there'll be 10 or 20% tariffs on some other countries where we didn't have tariffs before. I think the suppliers will be able to absorb those and also pass along some of those costs. And of course, for tariffs, it's really important to remember that the tariff is on the import value. It's not on the ultimate price, right? So if I'm importing a $10 product, that $10 product has a 20% tariff, that's $2 I pay. I may buy that as a supplier. I may sell it to a distributor for 20, who's going to then sell to somebody for 30. So that $30 product used to be 28 bucks. It's $2 more. So there's ways to move that pricing around and absorb some of it. Not all of it. Prices are going to go up. But I think people are getting their feet grounded and their heads screwed back on. Now, if we wake up tomorrow and suddenly the tariff's at 140% again, all bets are off.
All off, right. Yeah, no, I think in general, people, the beginning, everything tariff, and then, it's slowly coming down. And listen, everything in life, even without the tariffs, everything in life seemed to have gotten expensive lately.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
yeah, absolutely.
That's all we could do. But that's why you need to do promo, because if you have one more item, it just offsets some of your other losses or not losses, but maybe loss of other potential revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So you never goes. And in promo, you could really buy anything under the sun in promo.
Oh yeah. Well, there's we have 1.2 million in our database, from 3,000 suppliers. You can find almost anything.
Oh my God, I would spend days looking, and then I'd have to, get out of here, because you don't need all that stuff, I would just ask that there be a little more fishing items put in there, because I couldn't find any. But that's just my own personal thing.
I'll look into that. So, I'll look into fishing.
And and get back to me on that one. So we're going to wrap up here, but this was really good. But before I let you go, any final words you want to have to my audience of millions? I wish.
It's not scary. Promo is not scary. You can learn it. You can add it to your product line. You can serve your clients better than you've ever served them before by allowing them to have one source for all the things they need with their brand. And so that's my final thought for sure. And asicentral.com, check it out. Lots of information there about what we offer. And of course, if you're in the Chicago area, you want to come to Chicago next month, check out asishow.com, asishow.com. Learn all about our Chicago show, or Orlando in January, or Fort Worth in the first quarter of next year.
When is the show in Chicago?
July.
July what?
About a month away. We're about a month out.
Okay, so now I got to bump the other podcast to get this one in so that it comes up with the month on time. You just did a move. You just did a maneuver and didn't even know it.
I moved myself to the top of the list without even knowing.
So I'm gonna move it up in a week or two. It'll be on.
Thank you, Warren.
People get a chance to hear this, and I wouldn't want them in August to hear that there's a show in July. No. That wouldn't be good for you or for my credibility with what I'm trying to put out there. So I'll do that. I was just going to say the same thing that Tim said. Look into it. It's not scary. Feel free to reach out to me if you want some help, because I can give you some rudimentary help on it. It's so worth looking into. You will be so surprised with what the potential is and what can come from it. Especially if you're doing monthly mailings and you decide to offer some giveaways. Mm-hmm. But we could talk about the giveaways and all the marketing stuff later. Go sign up, asicentral.com. You know what? Before you wait for me to put out my link that they're going to give me, and then I'll set it up with them that they take care of you in a good way and give you a great introduction. Tim, great to have you on. Completely appreciate it. Love bringing to the audience, things that exist, make them feel a little better about what they're doing, realize how easy it is, and give them other opportunity out there. And I'm hoping everyone is going to come see us at the show. Chicago might be a little early for some of you in July, but Printing United is in October. It's in Orlando, and I will be there. And if you find me, I will let you buy me a drink. How's that?
I'll look for you. I'll be there
Uh,
as well. I'll be there with ASI as well. So I'll find you and we'll have a drink.
Okay, cool. Everybody, thank you for listening. You know me, I'm always appreciative and grateful. If anybody has any ideas, anyone wants to hear me talk about something, anyone knows someone who wants to be on it that has something great to say, reach out to me. It would be my pleasure. Otherwise, we're signing off. Printing's alive. I love print. Warren Werbitt. Next time. Thanks, Tim.
Great. Thank you very much, Warren.